What's going on, guys? Welcome back. So this week we got some paint going on. I already did the primer stuff. Sometimes you just get in the mode of building and you just don't feel like filming, you know. So I kind of got a little hot and heavy with the scrubber and the chemicals and just getting these things cleaned down because they were a bear. They were really nasty. So I have all the emissions complementary devices to make them more efficient with these expansion plates here. And so those are on there, and so I just went ahead and painted over it because I mean it's just paint, right? So if I don't like it, it can always come off later. It's not really that big of a deal. Anyways, this is just the primer stage. I'm just kind of getting stuff smoothed out and kind of where I want it. I did realize about halfway through the primering phase of the upper intake manifold that the intake that I was going to use was still on the table, and so now I'll have to swap all my stuff over to it and get it good to go, but I think they turned out all right. I'm not too dissatisfied with it. I went ahead and masked everything off and spent my time going around all the curves and everything to hopefully make it look as nice as possible. So I think it'll turn out all right. And then I'm going to do these in black, and I'm going to do the front cover in silver. So I have these different high heat ceramic whatever paints, and we'll test them out. I don't know, like I said, it's just paint. It's like 10 bucks a can, so if I don't like it, it can always come off later, redo it some other time. But I think it's gonna look all right, and I'm gonna put some clear coat over it with some decent like exterior paint clear coat to hopefully really make them kind of pop. They should be really super shiny and look really good. And then I'm going to do the front cover in silver as well, and then the water pump is going to be black. So the crank angle sensor, I haven't really decided yet, but I still have kind of a mess of just things everywhere. So we'll have the blue outside housings, the irons, and we'll have the silver rotor housings, and then we'll have the silver front cover, the silver water neck, I think I'm going to do black on the actual water pump actually. I just think that'll look kind of cool. And then let's see what else is there. I think that's pretty much it. And that should get me going. So I should be pretty much covered as far as the paint goes. And then once all that is done, I can start reassembling this stuff. So yesterday I had a little bit of a mishap. I was kind of going through my hardware, and the lower intake manifold has like 4 or 5 of these little guys here, but I think it partially took out some aluminum with it. It might be from before. I feel like I remember that being in there because I've had them out in the past. And the tap kit that I bought, it didn't have the M8 by 1.25. It had 2 M11 1.5. So in the M8 1.25 spot. So that's what you get for buying Chinese stuff on Amazon. Instead of a real kit, I bought the cheapest one I could find because I don't want to spend a bunch of money on taps and dies, but I just wanted them in case of an emergency. I don't do this for a living. So anyways, unfortunately I had to reorder the studs, and they are in the mail, so they'll be here later, I guess. I have received all my new gaskets to go for the front cover and the oil pan and all that stuff, so that will be pretty cool. I also got, did I bring it out here? I don't think I brought it out here. Oh yeah, I did. So we have our adapter. So this is a, I forget, M16 by 1.25, something like that. We'll have to make sure that it fits. But then we got the new oil plug, which was Amazon. So hopefully at least decent. It looks all right. And then we got I went with AEM for the sensor. So I got an AEM oil temperature sensor. I think it said it was good up to 300 degrees, but it came with the Deutsch connector, so I thought that was a good deal. So I went ahead and got that. anyways, so we will put that on and plug it into the computer and make sure a lot of these sensors are working like they're supposed to, if we can. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and start painting and get these taken care of, and kind of bring you back a little bit later. Thanks, guys. All right, so we're about to paint these things, and I just kind of wanted to go over some stuff. If you want to have your rattle can paint jobs turn out looking professional, there's just a couple of few key tips that you really got to follow, and it's really important. But I mean, obviously, step one is going to be safety. So you want to put your respirator on. These things are super important. You don't want to be breathing that garbage in. I promise you, it's not good. Okay, obviously I'm just playing, but in all seriousness, don't breathe the stuff in. It's not good for you. Also with rattle can, it's rattle can. It's can out of, or it's paint out of a can. You're only going to get so good of results. You can make it look decent though, and honestly, it's for the price. I mean, you get what you pay for it a lot of times. So this is no different. If you want more expensive procedures done, like powder coating or professional paint, like go for it, do it. Me, not round one. I'm going to do it later on. I want to make sure everything else goes smoothly first, and I'd rather spend the money on different stuff. The aesthetics of it, as much as I do appreciate a good-looking engine bay, I think it's still going to look just fine. So don't take things too seriously. This isn't a how-to guide. This is just what I'm doing. So you can see, not everything is too expensive.
Rostolium. Already. All right, we'll let that a little bit of time to dry. Round two, fight!
So for the second coat, I'm going to go ahead and try to find spots that I missed in the first round, and it's been about, I don't know, 15 minutes, and we'll let this
kind of get a little bit more coverage than the first round. The first round, you're just kind of trying to make like a tacky first layer to just sort of allow the paint to stick to something, get some coverage, and then do this a little bit at a time, and that way you don't get any runs. Shoot, dang. Professional. In my professional paint booth with all the right tools. So there's a couple of little nooks and crannies in there that I really want to get into. Just make sure you're not doing too much at one time, like I just did right now. There we go, can't even tell. So we're going to let that set up for a little bit, and then we'll come back and do it after about 15 minutes. So another thing I wanted to show you guys while we're waiting for the paint to dry. Still got a respirator on, but I picked up this lower boot, I think they call it. It was like $60, but it's solid now. Looks pretty good. I also picked up my new slave cylinder for the clutch. While I was at it, I got a new throw-up bearing and a new pilot bearing. So, and then I tested this because I thought this was some, you know, home RTV jobbery, but apparently that's kind of how they came. Because I got another one and it also has this on it. So I tested the switch and it works. So yeah, I believe that's the neutral switch. And then you got like your fifth and reverse on these guys here. But yeah, so neutral switch works. Thought I was having issues when I was programming the adaptronic with neutral, but I thought it was only registering when the clutch was depressed, but not necessarily neutral. So I'll have to check out the circuits and see how everything looks, but that does in fact work. So, alright, back to the painting. Well, these are pretty well painted now. Don't look half bad, especially considering the pretty much minimal prep that I did. It was just a lot of cleaning, getting any dirt and oil off of there. That's the part that was all of the time, basically. Didn't really do any sanding, and it's okay. It doesn't have to be professional. It's gonna look nice. And the clear coat's gonna make this just silly shiny. So we're going to do a third and final coat, and then we'll move on to some clear. See, I went a little too heavy here. I got a little bit of run. Sometimes with Throttle, if you put a little bit in front of it, you can get it to kind of even out. And that kind of did it. But then you run the risk of a really bad run, so your mileage may vary. A little thicker on this coat to try to get the top to kind of lay a little smoother, a little shinier. There's going to be a lot of orange peel. There's zero sanding that's happened, so it's to be expected. That's some shiny metal. Not having any problems here. It looks okay. It looks okay. Alright. Nether readers. Well, I don't think I missed anything. I'd say that looks pretty darn good. Alright, we're going to let that dry for about a half hour, and then we're going to put our clear coat on.
Okay, so time to mix up some clear. So as per usual, we will be using the Harbor Freight gun and stuff. So got that ready. And the instructions for the clear coat that I have, they want you to do 4-to-1. So that's what we'll do. So we got our clear coat, we got our activator, and need a can opener. This can's about gone. Not a lot left in there. The cool part about clear coat is once it touches something, it's basically on there forever. So like your fingers. Yeah, I really enjoy it. So we get these little measuring cups here. They have different ratios at the top. And if I'm understanding this correctly, and if I'm not, please somebody correct me. But so I'm doing 4-to-1. So I'm going to fill up to 1 or 2 or whatever number I want, and then fill the adjacent number with the activator. So 2 parts to 2 parts, 1 part to 1 part would be a 4-to-1 ratio. So I think for this, oh shoot, I don't know, probably 1 for now. So let's do like, well, let's start pouring. We'll do that. And then we'll do the activator. Okay. So that should be it. And then we'll just stir it around with the swivel stick. And I think we have an hour and a half, 2 hours to use this, something like that. I feel like I should have put a little more in there. This doesn't look like it's going to be quite enough. And not so much that it's not enough to do the job, but that it's not enough to tilt the gun at any angles, which might prove interesting on the bottom sections. Well, we'll see what happens. Okay. So, remember everything this touches. So I'm going to put it in a little box in the garbage can. All right. The old horror fraud gun. Just going to put this down for now. Grab a little filter here. And mix it up right through the filter. So I don't know if you guys can even see that. Nope, can't see a darn thing. Why didn't you guys say something? So I got my little filter on top here. It's just like a paper cone deal. And I will fill this up. I don't know if that caught anything, and I think that's more for the paint than it is the clear coat, because the clear coat you can actually see. But I have them, so why not? All right, I'm going to get you guys adjusted, and I'll come back when I'm ready to spray. Alright, so this gun's got a couple of different adjustments here. You have like your main control for how far you can depress the trigger. You have your main inlet air control, which is kind of like a regulator. You're supposed to regulate the air coming to it at about 35. So then you have this, which seems to be some kind of mixture screw. It seems like the more you turn it up or counterclockwise, the less air, the more you turn it in, the more air. I'm not really sure. It seems like a sharper stream or something. But anyways, I kind of got the gun close to where I have like a little log outside that I like to spray on, and I usually like to spray with this thing horizontal like that. So we'll see how things go. Make sure you cover up all your stuff so you don't get sticky paint and clear coat all over it too. If any of you are professional painters, I apologize already, just in advance, okay?
I do like the look of the shiny though. Okay, I'll go to the other side. So the instructions say for 8 to 10 minutes between coats. So that's what we're going to do. But it's just been a few minutes here since I laid this down. And just look how absolutely shiny that is. I think the upper intake manifold turned out so good so far. I mean, there's just so much bling happening. Whew. And so that Borg Warner is a water-cooled turbo. So there shouldn't be nearly the heat coming up towards the top as the just the journal bearing non-water-cooled turbos. I mean, that will be, you know, determined, but we'll see what happens. But I think it's going to be just fine. This is also that high temperature paint anyways. So should be just fine because that turbo is going to sit like, you know, right there. But I just am head over heels for how good that looks. The shininess is just fun. I like shiny things, what can I say? And that's just the first coat. So we're going to do probably 2 or 3. And then we'll be done. Gaskets and all. In hindsight, part of me kind of wishes I would have had them together when I painted it. Because, I don't know. I feel like the gasket area here is going to end up with a bit of a, I don't know, like the aluminum part kind of peeking through. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I don't think it'll matter. I don't think anybody's going to scrutinize me too much. But I am just head over heels for the way this looks. I don't think we've shown the back yet, have we? Yeah, not much to see. I have all my orifices plugged up with tape. Everything's all blocked off. So, no big deal. Anyways, so I'm going to go ahead and get these finished up and move on to the next part. So we'll see you guys soon. Okay, on to the next can of worms. So I have a couple throttle bodies here. They've all been cannibalized and I don't have a original one anymore. I haven't had one in a long time, so I am going to take parts off of both of these and make one good one. And I'm going to rob the bypass air control valve because these things are awesome and I don't know why everybody likes to remove them, but it's pretty sweet to have, and it's what's going to do most of my idle control. I'm going to steal the air supply valve. I don't know that it's going to be 100% usable. It's pretty simple little device, but at the same time, I don't know. But anyways, the whole air supply thing, that should be like 100, 200, 300 RPMs of difference, and I'll mount that to the other dynamic chamber upper intake manifold and steal the cruise control and throttle mounting plate. I'm not going to steal any of this other stuff. In fact, I'm going to, on this one, see, this one's already been like dremelled out and stuff. I didn't do any of this. But
the second throttle body or second throttle plate was also removed, and so there's kind of a large hole there. It's a bit of a problem. Hello. So I think I'm gonna remove the brass or at least the rubber out of there, and maybe I'll have to do it over the top, but I'm gonna TIG weld this because I don't want a big hole. So I might just do it on this side. Just TIG weld that closed and not worry about it. So these have all been like knife edged for an added 61 horsepower each side. So it's like, I don't know, $1 million. And then, yeah, remove all this warm up stuff, the thermo wax and everything. Get this all off of here. I don't have a dash pot. I kind of want the dash pot. I don't know. Flames are cool. It shouldn't die. I don't think it'll die, but we shall see. I kind of wish I had a dash pot. That one doesn't have one either. But there's a bunch of things on this one that this one doesn't even have. I don't even really understand what this one does. I've not even looked it up yet, but I have an aftermarket little plate here that allows me to run a full resolution TPS. I did have a bunch of trouble with it though last year because it's really only mounted to the one bolt. In hindsight, they should have done to both bolts, because this really shouldn't move, and it just does. And I don't know if I got a wanky TPS or if something I was doing was wrong, but it just didn't seem to like life. And occasionally what would happen is I would have to kick the throttle for it to go into closed loop throttle control. It was like it was registering just a little bit of pedal pressure, and I wasn't touching the pedal. So it was just giving me a bunch of stuff. So I don't know if there's a problem with it or the sensor itself. I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to try and mess with it and see if I'm going to hook my ECU up on the bench and play around with it and see if I can get it to behave a little bit better. But it's going to be over on this one. So I really want the full resolution just because it seems like it should be better. But I'll tell you what, the stock TPS, I had the easiest time setting up all of my tip-in fuel enrichments, my acceleration enrichment, all of that stuff was just stupid fast, easy. I don't even know what I was doing, but I just made it happen and it worked really quickly. This one, like, the values were nowhere even close, and it wouldn't do any of the auto-tune stuff that the other one at least would try to do and get close. So with it sticking like it was just a huge problem. So I'm going to go ahead and probably clean this up and then maybe do some welding, and we'll bring you guys back. Alright, so I thought I'd bring you guys back here. I'm getting all this stuff mounted back together here. Still have to get the gasket for the bypass air control. I'm actually wearing gloves for the first time ever, I think, in my life. I clear coated the throttle body because I think it looks a lot better, just shiny, so I just sort of cleaned it up a little bit, did some really horrible welding. It doesn't leak, but it doesn't look good. Doesn't leak, but it doesn't look good. Ignore that now. But I think I figured out the issue I was having with this adjustable TPS bracket here. So the way it mounts onto this upper bolt here, it's got a little bit of play, and I hooked it all up and it was immediately binding. And so I looked underneath and I hadn't even noticed this, but it was catching on the spring here, and so it was definitely binding just a little bit. So now that that is clear, when this rotates, it doesn't hit it anymore. So I have a decent amount of room left. So now, hopefully, when I go to tune this thing, I won't have the issues I was having in the past with it just catching on stuff and not kicking down the idle all the way. So I think that was my problem. Well, this sort of helps out a lot. So, okay, I think that looks at least good enough for now. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next section, but just wanted to give you guys an update on that.